Welcome back. We're going to be in our second video covering Romans chapter 8. I hope by the time you get through this becomes one of your most favorite passages of the Bible. I think it encapsulates the whole gospel as much as anything there is, and it's a very celebratory capsule. If there's like a chapter to memorize in the Bible, I have not done this. This is one of those chapters that would be very fruitful to kind of just know by heart. It's the culmination of the whole thing, and it's a whole huge celebration, and it talks about the meaning of all existence. So when we talk about like the Bible's got the answers, specifically this chapter is one of these places where the Bible has the answers. So we're going to kind of delve into this, and I hope this video doesn't get too large in the process. So if you haven't already done so, take a pause right here and read all of chapter 8. But we will be focusing in the central part of this one, which is 18 through 30. All right, so let's go. So starting in verse 18, he's answering the question that he kind of brought up. We're adopted with Christ. We're co-heirs of Christ, but we're also picking up on the suffering like Christ did, which is one of the sort of the good news, and it's one of the things that makes Christianity distinctive. Like a lot of philosophy will talk about or maybe Buddhism will look at suffering as like not real, as illusory, as a thing to be escaped. And this is like Christ suffered. We go through it, but it'll be worth it. So the first verse says, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time, this time that we are living now, are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us." So that what's coming is going to make anything here worth it. And so you think of phrases like maybe if you had a gym, they like no pain, no gain. And like sometimes I've had a lot of pain and didn't really feel like I had a heck of a lot of gain. This is, what he's going to show is like, okay, here's the actual gain. And so when you look at it, our suffering pales in nothing. And we know our brother, our fellow son, Jesus, goes through it with us. So let's kind of look at this glory that is revealed to us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. So first off, all of creation is kind of waiting for something. So everything in the world that's not human is on edge, waiting on something, and it turns out it's waiting on us for the sons of God, these adopted sons of God, to show up finally. If you go all the way back to Genesis, like Paul's done, and this is how God probably taught him this theology, is he's looking at the Bible, he's making sense of the whole thing. You look back in Genesis, it's like our job was to tend the earth and to rule creation for God. It's waiting for that. It's been waiting the whole time for that. And it's like on edge, gritted teeth, waiting for that. And here, that's saying that all creation has been waiting with eager longing for that revelation. So while it's been waiting, it's been suffering, all creation. So rocks and oceans and mountains and animals. For the creation was subjected to futility. Think about thorns and thistles that come from the ground and the curse that comes after the fall in Genesis 3. Not willingly, but because of him who subjected it. Why did God subject it? In hope that it'd come back around to us. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected to hope, that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption, this decay, its breaking, its falling apart, and its rot, and its disease, and the pain, and obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. So our adoption is hope for all creation. And that's a huge concept that we ignore a lot. But like God made this world and he likes it. It's okay to like it. I've been trying to show this online. This is not an anti-physical Bible. This is like we look at the world and it's broken down this and its disease and the fact that it's not just people have done stuff wrong that goes through it, but it's like it's all of creation goes through it. All of creation breaks it down. All of creation falls apart. And animals have pain too. C.S. Lewis's first apologetics book was his book called The Problem of Pain. And one of the things that most like made him head scratch and he had to sort out was like, why do animals feel pain? We get why we might suffer, that it might bring us back around, that we have a free choice that leads to suffering and we choose it and bring it upon ourselves in sin. But that puppy didn't. But puppies die all the time. And you see pathetic things. And you can see that. You can think of like every kind of time a kid runs into a wounded animal and that pain, or just picture in your head like Sarah McLachlan singing Arms of an Angel and your most manipulative uh, commercial for this American Association of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, where puppies shivering in the cold and skin and bones. Every sad thing like that you can think of, it's in the world. It's been allowed to happen to bring us back around to be in our proper place. And it says it's eager for it. So that's sort of the hope for all creation. It's also um, just something to kind of think through our role in it. Um, there's a great talk on that we're looking through, actually using C.S. Lewis to do it. That the way the church thinks about animals, it might be important to our theology. This set of verses is why. It's been waiting till now. And not only creation, waiting for the children of God, for we know that all creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth unto now. So that's actually going to be the analogies in have for creation. Creation's been groaning, but it turns out it's because it's been pregnant, if you will. So the suffering of creation isn't pointless. The suffering of creation is like childbirth. And it's a childbirth for the adopted sons of God, those who live according to the Spirit and not according to the flesh, that have Christ in them and that beat death. That's what it's waiting for, and it's worth it. And when they see it, it's like a mom who's had the worst deal ever that I can't even imagine having a kid, and finally getting to see her baby. That is the analogy Paul's looking at of when we are delivered, that will make it all worth it. And so that's Paul's eagerness. And this is also like his missionary purpose. Remember, the book of Romans is like trying to get it's like a fundraiser letter for a mission. He's saying, this is what it's for. This is like, what we're doing here is not just trying to help individuals. It's like, it's the whole world gets remade by this. All the pain is worth it from this. This is like, let's get this baby delivered. Let's bring in the full church. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to kind of complete his mission and get to the whole world. Because all of creation is waiting for it. And that suffering I'm going through, which he is like turning around towards imprisonment as he writes this, is worth it. So he's like, all creation, and not just creation is worth it, but we ourselves, I think he's talking about those already adopted as sons of God, so current Christians, who are the first fruits of the Spirit, so the first to get saved, waiting for the rest to come in, groan inwardly as we waited eagerly for adoption as sons, us, redemption of our bodies. So why are we still sick? Why are we still getting cancer? Why are we still die? Why is there COVID-19? Why is there loneliness? Why is there hurt? Why is there injury? Well, we're still waiting too with, the shivering puppies and the crumbling mountains. We are waiting too, and that waiting, we are now joined with creation and waiting for the full adoption, even us, even though we're ahead of the curve on it. For in this hope we were saved, the hope of the whole world. Now, hope that is seen is not hope. If we saw it all now, it's not hope, and the hope is going to be part of the glory of it all. For who hopes for what he sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it in patience. And here Paul's doing something to pretty much all of the Old Testament's expectations. So when fancy word for it is he's kind of modified the eschatology. So all the Old Testament prophecy all thought about the day of the Lord and that Christ, Messiah comes and redemption's come. And it's sort of a dead end. So you have like all of history up to this point. So past sin, terrible dust, terrible dust, and then God fixes it, and it's all right now. And so it's all done, and it meets. What Paul's doing here is he's kind of saying, no, no, we have to look through everything up to this point with a new lens. It doesn't meet like this. Messiah's come, and the kingdom's already here, but it's not done. We're in like the world's pregnant. It's in labor, and there's some first fruits that we got it. So there's like a future glory still to come, and there's a past, but we're in this in between now. That's already the kingdom of God here, and not yet. These passages are where that comes from. And it's the only way for a Christian to make sense of the Old Testament, and it's going to be one of the big breaks between Paul and Judaism. Before it is, he shifts it. It's like the Messiah's come. A Jewish rabbi today was like, the world's clearly terrible. Messiah hasn't come, and they'd have a point from the old way of reading it, but Paul can't get around like, but he resurrected from the dead, and the Spirit in me testifies, and I can't accept that. Messiah has come. What does that mean? And so he's gone all the way through it all, and this is kind of how he's gotten the whole Bible to work again. And so this is how this whole passage here is kind of how the Old and New Testament, particularly the prophecies, stitched together. Yeah. So here, it's this hope and that it's there. So there, we're waiting and we're sharing in suffering with all creation now, us, the first fruit Christians, waiting for the rest to get here. What are we waiting on now? Why is God waiting? Well, we're waiting for the rest of the church to come in, so we're still waiting on us. This is a very missions driven kind of thing. Get out there. This is going to be like the whole creation is made new. And it says not only that, but the Spirit, and this is in chapter 26, helps us in our weakness. So even when we're weak and suffering, we don't even have what to say. We don't know what we need to happen. We're just so laid out so that we can't do it. For we do not know what to pray for as we ought. Like we'll pray for this and that, or pray for a new car, pray for that. But sometimes like that's not actually what the best thing is. And so when we can't pray for the best thing because we don't know the best thing, the Spirit can pray for us. And the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. That's something we can't even put for words. It's there. And I'm not from a charismatic tongue speaking background. This passage is probably where I have the most empathy with that. Where it's like, I don't have the words to say, so God gives me the language to say, and I don't even know what I'm saying. I could get that experience a little bit from this passage. And that too deep for words. I think a lot of worship, and a lot of times if worship strikes you with a matter of awe where you can't formulate what you're trying to say, God's prays for you. And that's sort of an important way to know that there's this constant thing there to get us to this hope for new creation, the full adoption of the sons of God taking place and the world put right. And he searches hearts because he knows what is the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of God. So this is what the Spirit's doing for us right now. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for the good, for those who are called according to his purpose. So those that are adopted and as a son of God and who love and called to God, that this stuff, no matter what it feels like, no matter what the sufferings are, they're working to the good. And that verse is the verse you claim. It's much more in context appropriate to claim than say Jeremiah 29:11, which is got specific audience and specific plans in mind. It's in a letter. Go over and take a look and read that chapter 29 of Jeremiah and see it's kind of not really a broad statement for everybody. This here is for all those in the church, the sufferings that you're going through, he is working to the good for the purpose. And what's the purpose? The whole new creation, the full adoption of the sons of God. For those whom he foreknew, those who he knew were coming, he's been waiting on you the whole time. He also predestined, he went after. And this is kind of that word's in the Bible. So if you say, I don't believe in predestination, the word's there. You may disagree with a Calvinist on what predestination means. We'll have to be forced to kind of look at that in chapter 9 a bit. But the actual word it's there. It's part of what God does. What does that mean for salvation? He may disagree with some other people on it. But the actual word, yeah, that's there. God's saying, I've got this set up already. He predestined what? To be conformed to the image of his son, to make you Christ-like, to make you like Jesus. Why? In order that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. So that the brothers may be many. Why is he making you Christ-like? Why is he doing this? Why is he's making it so there's going to be a lot, and I can bring in others. And those whom he predestined, he also called. He didn't just like, okay, I got plans for you. He actually showed up and talked to you. He sent somebody, and those who he called, he justified, and those who justified, he also glorified. And so that kind of gets to the end of this, and we'll kind of see the last bit of chapter 8 in the next video. Thank you for your time.